Chapter 1965. Lung Yiyao looks at the scene in front of her, and her face is almost distorted with jealousy. Yaodai Fairy has a great reputation in Tianguang ruins, but she absolutely can't set off such a wave of noise. Her supporters only care about her appearance, the elixirs she refines, and her identity as the head disciple of Flowing Moon sect. Her supporters all had their own demands. Once she fell from her pedestal. For example, if Flourishing Heavenly Light loses the championship in the finals, these supporters will be reduced by more than half. Lung Yiyao just can't understand. This Yu Liangshun has no appearance and no family background, so why can he trample on her? The #1 store in the world has been beaten so miserably by Flowing Moon sect. So why are Yi Liangchen supporters still not willing to abandon her? They even disregard their own cultivation and still want to support Yi Liangchen. What does this slut have? However, Lung Yiyao didn't think that she was just using those supporters. Usually, Flowing Moon Pill Palace only sells elixirs to those cultivators with power and influence. She doesn't even look at those die-hard loyalists who throw away thousands of crystals and almost lose their family fortune for her. She also doesn't care if they can still buy elixirs from Flowing Moon Pill Palace after paying so much for her. People's hearts are made of flesh. These supporters have been hurt and abandoned again and again. So naturally, their hearts to support her have weakened. However, Lung Yiyao has always been used to thinking highly of herself. So how could she examine her own mistakes? She only feels that all this is the fault of those cultivators who no longer support her, and the fault of Yi Liangchen who stole her supporters. Lung Yiyao fiercely pushes through the crowd and squeezes to the center. She raises her head and says to Mayan with an arrogant face, "Yi Liangchen, you finally know that you're wrong. Are you going to compromise with our Flowing Moon sect?" I, Lung Yiyao, am not an aggressive person. As long as you kneel down and apologize to me in public and agree to my senior brother's request, it's not impossible for Flowing Moon Pill Palace to provide some water element elixirs to your army. Hearing that Lung Yiyao wants Great God Yi to kneel down and apologize, Liang Qin's army explodes. Kneel my ass! Our Great God Yi is the Lord of Clear Sky Dome, the Lord of 6 Stars, a rare genius who only appears once every 10,000 years. Who do you think you are? How dare you make me, the Great God Yi, kneel and apologize? That's right. Even if I can't improve my cultivation in this lifetime, I won't eat your Flowing Moon Pill Palace's smelly water element pill. Lung Yiyao was insulted like this, but she didn't get angry. He sneered and said, "Yap Liang Chun, how dare your dog talk to me like this? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to take out the water element pill in front of so many people?" Hearing Lung Yiyao's words, many practitioners in the reincarnation square suddenly understood. So Goddess Yi wants to give out the water element elixir because she has reconciled with the Flowing Moon sect. What reconciliation? Isn't it because Yi Liangchen couldn't take it anymore and went to lick the Flowing Moon sect and Fairy Yaodia's boots? Sigh. The Flowing Moon sect is a famous sect in the Purple Cloud realm after all. Furthermore, they control the elixirs of all cultivators below the nascent soul stage. No matter how strong Yi Liangchen is, it's impossible for him to go against a giant like the Flowing Moon sect. There were also those who wanted to monopolize the talismans of the old man's #1 under the world shop, but they were mercilessly rejected. At this moment, they shouted gloatingly, "Fairy Yaodai, we support you." This Yi Liangchen is so arrogant. The Flowing Moon sect must teach her a lesson. Chapter 1966. When Lung Yiyao hears the discussion, her smile becomes more complacent. "Yi Liangchen, stop struggling. Kneel down in front of everyone, and I will give you a bottle of water element pills. It's even to the extent that I can give you a few high-grade water element pills." But Yi Liangchen's army is livid, but they don't dare to say anything. Many people look at Mayan with expressions full of worry. They are afraid that Great God Yi will really compromise with Flowing Moon sect and Lung Yiyao. That is equivalent to slapping the face of Yi Liangchen's army. But is it possible? Of course not. Mayan asked Little Tian to make a special announcement to slap their faces in front of everyone. But it is the Flowing Moon sect and those treacherous people who hit them when they are down. She shows a faint smile to Lung Yuyao, who said that I need to get my water element pills from your flowing moon sect. Lung Yuyao frowns. Where else can you buy water element pills other than my flowing moon sect? Yi Liangchun, are you still dreaming? On the central platform, the girl slightly raises her peach blossom eyes, smiling lazily and wantonly. Who said that I must buy water element pills if I want them? Can't I refine them in front of everyone? As soon as she says this, the entire reincarnation square falls into a moment of silence. Then, there is a burst of laughter, especially Lung Yuyao. She looks at Mayan as if she is looking at an idiot. You, refine pills? And to refine water element pills? Ha ha ha. Yi Liangchen, I think you are crazy for water element pills? Not to mention that Yi Liangchen is so powerful, proficient in support, control, speed, fighting. She even stands at the peak of the young cultivators in Ziyun realm, becoming the Lord of 6 stars. Plus, she knows how to make talismans. Under such an omnipotent situation, she actually says that she can refine pills? Isn't this a joke? One should know that a person's energy is limited. Alchemists and combat practitioners could be said to be two completely different systems. Ordinary cultivators who specialize in refining pills can only refine a 5th-grade pill after spending decades. Yi Liangchen's fighting strength is already so strong if she can also refine pills, especially water element pills. What kind of monster was that? Therefore, not to mention Lung Yuyao, no one in the entire reincarnation square believed Mu Yan's words. Even Liangchen Dajuan and North Sunflower Xiang Nuan and Brother Confident were looking at Mu Yan with worried expressions. Could it be that God Yi had gone insane because of the recent events? Otherwise, why would he say something as silly as refining the water element pill in front of everyone? However, Mu Yan did not care about them at all and took out the pill refining furnace from the jade key. Following that, one spiritual medicine after another was taken out from the jade key and placed around her. At first, Lung Yuyao was still smiling. But when he saw the elixir that Mu Yin took out, his expression changed. Black sour fruit, evergreen flower, thousand-leaf grass, no. How could this be? These were indeed the spiritual herbs needed to concoct the water element pill. How did Yi Liangchen know the formula for the water element pill? Did she really know how to refine it? No. This was impossible. Lung Yuyao was bewildered and her face turned ugly. But at the next moment, Mu Yan's action made her feel at ease. This was because Mu Yin actually threw all the elixir she took out into the pill refining furnace. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 1967. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Who didn't start the alchemy fire in the cauldron first? Then, according to the recipe, they would put in different amounts of spiritual herbs in the correct order. Moreover, every spiritual herb had a special processing method. Only by controlling the alchemy fire to perfection could the spiritual herbs be melted according to the requirements. Finally, the spiritual herbs with completely different properties would be melted bit by bit, then evaporated and condensed into pills. Throwing all the spirit herbs into the alchemy furnace just like that, how could it possibly be refined into pills? Once the alchemy fire started, the precious spiritual herbs would all be wasted. Yi, Guru Yi. This isn't right, is it? Even elegant bro couldn't help but speak carefully. Lung Yuyao laughed again. Haha, Yi Liangchen, it seems like you're really at your wit's end. Someone who doesn't even have the basic knowledge of alchemy wants to refine the water element pill? That's the biggest joke I've ever heard. Many people in the reincarnation square laughed mockingly. Some people's words were extremely unpleasant. Some even questioned whether this Yi Liangchen was the Lord of 6 stars Yi Liangchen. After all, someone who could become the Lord of 6 stars couldn't be so stupid as to not have the basic knowledge of alchemy, right? Yi Liangchen's army was flushed, their hands clenched into fists. Their idol was being humiliated, but they were powerless to defend or refute. How could they not feel aggrieved? Suddenly, a tall woman jumped onto the stage and said loudly, Guru Yi, why your hands are used for drawing talismans and wielding swords. Manual labor like alchemy is not suitable for you. Why don't you let me do it for you? Sister Hua, Elegant Bro and North Sunflower Xiang Nuan couldn't help but exclaim. They all knew that Sister Hua was an 8-stage golden core cultivator, as well as an alchemist. However, she was only a 4th-stage alchemist. Although the quality of the water element pill varied, it was at least 5th stage. How could Sister Hua refine it? Sister Hua raised her head and walked resolutely to Mu Yan's side. She looked coldly at Lung Yuyao and the people who were mocking Mu Yan. Watch carefully. The alchemist today is me, Yin Ruhua, not Guru Yi. If you want to mock or insult me, come at me. Don't drag God Yi into this. If you have the guts to curse God Yi Qingyu, then touch your heart and ask yourself if you have what it takes to become the Lord of 6 stars. Heh, forget the Lords of 6 stars. You can't even climb to the top of the leaderboard. At first, Lung Yuyao thought that she could step on Yi Liangchen, who knew that a woman would appear out of nowhere and wanted to take all the humiliation for Yi Liangchen. How could she allow that? Yap Liangchen, people call you a god, but you can only hide behind a woman like a coward. Teske. If I were you, I'd be so embarrassed that I'd find a hole to hide in. Sister Hua's expression changed. Don't spout nonsense. I was the one who wanted to help Guru Yi. Before she could finish her sentence, a slender hand pressed on her shoulder and pulled her to the side. The clear and melodious voice of a young girl sounded in Sister Hua's ears. Sister Hua, don't be anxious. There will be a chance for you to refine pills later. But now, let me do it. But great God Yi. Sister Hua, do you trust me? Sister Hua raised her eyes and met with a pair of clear, glass-like eyes. Chapter 1968. It was filled with confidence, disdain, indifference, and arrogance. However, there was not a shred of panic or guilt in it. All of a sudden, Sister Hua's anxious heart felt as if it had finally calmed down and returned to a safe place. She recalled what this girl said to them in Lousy World No. 1 shop. Thank you for your support. I may not be as good as you think I am. However, as long as Liangchen exists, I will do my best to protect Liangchen Army. I will pay back to anyone who insults Liangchen Army 10-fold or 100-fold. Sister Hua took a deep breath and slowly retreated behind Mu Yan. She chose to believe in Almighty Yi, the person that Liangchen Army worshipped and supported. Because this girl, the Almighty Yi that they believed in, had never disappointed them. Mu Yan did not look at Lung Yuyao's ecstatic face or the worried expression of Liangchen Army. She walked to the front of the furnace, took out a talisman, and stuck it on the furnace. What is Liangchen doing? Sticking talisman? Why is he sticking talisman on the furnace? How come I have never heard of this step in alchemy? But soon, Mu Yin answered their doubts. Because when Mu Yin used her spiritual power to activate the talisman, a string of flames rose from the bottom of the furnace and wrapped all the elixirs in it. After a moment of silence in the reincarnation square, everyone burst into laughter again. So, she is using talisman to get the fire. Oh my god, she can't even use her own alchemy fire? Such an idiot wants to practice alchemy? Don't tell me she doesn't even have the fire spiritual root? This is so funny. Looking at Mu Yan's action, Lung Yuyao felt more confident and no longer worried. At this very moment, she completely believed that Yap Liangchen did not know how to concoct pills. Not to mention the unique treasure of Evolution Moon's sect, the water element pill. However, at this moment, Sister Hua, who was standing closest to Mu Yin, suddenly exclaimed, "And what is this?" Her voice was full of surprise and disbelief. Elegant Brother and North Sunflower Xiang Nuan's attention was immediately attracted. They came over to take a look, and their eyes widened. What was going on? Beikue Xiang Nuan covered his face and looked at Mu Yin in shock. Miss, what is this? How did you do it? This time, the people below were in an uproar. What had happened in the alchemy furnace that had shocked the three of them? Many people couldn't help but want to rush up to watch. But little Tian seemed to have guessed their thoughts, and the light and shadow on the reincarnation square changed. A virtual projection screen soon appeared in front of everyone. What was displayed on the screen was the scene in the alchemy furnace. All the cultivators were shocked by what they saw. What is this? At the bottom and inner walls of the alchemy furnace, there were actually golden lines that appeared. These patterns flickered with fiery light as they mixed together, slowly forming a rune-like pattern. As the talisman runes became more and more complete, the spiritual herbs that had been thrown into the cauldron actually floated up. They were piled up in 2s and 3s. Mayan, who is standing on the side, once again pours her spiritual power into the talisman attached to the furnace. Chapter 1969. Soon, a ball of flame rose and devoured a portion of the spirit herbs. Under the high temperature, the flames gradually melted the spiritual herbs. Then came the second ball of flame, melting the second pile of spirit herbs, the third pile, the fourth pile. Tens of thousands of people had gathered at the Rebirth Square in the Middle 3 district. But at this moment, they were all dumbfounded, staring at the screen in front of them. For a moment, there was absolute silence, until all the elixirs were melted. The runes within the pill furnace changed, and the curling tongues of flame began to cause the juices of the spirit herbs to gradually blend and evaporate. Sounds of people sucking in cold air could be heard in the square. Fuck, is this a fucking joke? Damn it, I have never learned how to concoct pills. But Yi Liang Chun, don't lie to me. Is this how you concoct pills? I'm going crazy. Since when can talismans be used for alchemy? Yap Liang Chun no. Great God Yi, great immortal Yi, great master Yi. I'll kneel before you, okay? How many more times do you want our hearts to suffer? Lung Yuyao's eyes widened as she looked at the scene in front of her in horror. She shook her head frantically. Impossible. This was definitely possible. How could there be such an alchemy method in this world? Yes, this only looks like alchemy, but in fact it's just for show. It's impossible for these spirit herbs to condense. The furnace will definitely explode in the end. Yap Liang Chun, you can fool everyone, but not me. It's impossible for you to succeed in refining pills. Lung Yuyao desperately talked to herself, and even shouted hysterically at the people next to her. It was as if this was the only way to increase his confidence. However, very quickly, the screams from the crowd shattered her fantasies once again. It's condensing. He's really starting to condense the core. Heavens, I can smell the fragrance of the pill. It's the water element pill. It's exactly the same as the water element pill. Buzz. Almost at the same time, a golden light erupted from the pill furnace, and a medicinal fragrance filled the air. As for the talismans stuck on the pill furnace, they were completely incinerated and dissipated into the air. Mu Yin opened the lid of the furnace and looked inside. She shook her head in dissatisfaction. This was the drawback of using talisman puppets to refine pills. After expending so many spirit herbs, he only managed to refine these 2 pills. One must know that when she tried to refine the water element pills in the space, she managed to refine 20 water element pills in one furnace. Although there were not many pill recipes, it taught an alchemy of alchemy. Of alchemy. Of alchemy. It of alchemy of alchemy. Of alchemy. Of alchemy. Of alchemy. Of alchemy of alchemy of al of alof alley of spirit of pills of alchemy below of level of grade spirit of alchemy she spirit of spirit of water of water of the water of water of water of water of the of water 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 of the water of. Chapter 1970. Yes, this talisman had no other effects. It couldn't replenish spiritual energy, couldn't defend or fight. Its only use was to construct a talisman array and automatically refine water element pills. Each water element pill refinement talisman consumed a lot of her spiritual energy and divine sense, and she could only draw 10 at most a day. Compared to her drawing speed of other talismans, it was simply the speed of a turtle. Unfortunately, without a single refining talisman, she could only refine 2 or 3 elixirs at most. It was really of little value. Mu Yin ridiculed her own talismans in her heart, not knowing that the people below were indeed in a complete uproar. Yi, great God, Yi, is this really a water element pill? The person who spoke was a sallow and emaciated man standing below. It was the same person who was humiliated at the entrance of the flowing moon pill house that day and refused to let go of Yi Liangchen no matter what. Mu Yin smiled faintly and handed over one of the elixirs in her hand. Why don't you try it and you'll know? Pill refinement could be simulated in Tianguang ruins, and the effects of elixirs could be experienced in the Misty Mansion, as well as the process and results of pill refinement. But the actual consumption of elixirs could only be done in reality. The male cultivator took the elixir and impatiently left Tianguang ruins. After only a quarter of an hour, he reappeared in the reincarnation square. When everyone saw the man who reappeared, they were so shocked that their eyeballs almost protruded out. They saw that the man who had sunken eyes with the reddish-brown color unique to elixir fire poison just a moment ago, his eyes were actually more than half clear at this time. Although he was still sallow and emaciated, his entire back was straightened. His face was full of excitement. Once he stood still in the reincarnation square, the man shouted loudly, "Great God, Yi, it's a water element pill. It's really a water element pill. And a high-grade water element pill. Great God, Yi, I. The man seemed to want to say words of thanks, but his voice could not help but choke. His divine soul was also somewhat unstable because of the effects of the pill. In fact, after taking the water element pill, one had to rest for at least 4 hours to fully absorb the medicinal effects. But this male cultivator was really too excited, and also wanted to prove Great God Yi's greatness and innocence, so he actually disregarded his body and hurriedly went back to Tianguang ruins. Mu Yan's face darkened, still not leaving Tianguang ruins to properly rest. Do you want to waste my water element pill? Only then did the male cultivator disappear while laughing and crying. The shock that this male cultivator brought to the other cultivators in the reincarnation square was no less than a thunderclap. This is impossible. Lung Yao let out a shrill scream. This is demonic art. This must be a trick. Yi Liangchen, you must have stolen these 2 water element pills from my flowing moon pill mansion. You must have been deliberately mystifying us just now. You took advantage of the fact that everyone's attention was diverted to deceive us, thinking that our evolution moon sex water element pill was refined by you. Mu Yin looks at Lung Yao brandishing her claws, her distorted face screaming hysterically. He couldn't help but sneer. Lung Yao, you really won't give up until you reach the Yellow River. Since that's the case, I'll show you. I'm not the only one who can cultivate your evolution moon sex water element pill. Everyone in my army can as well. Didn't you want to use the water element pill to choke me and my army? Then I'll let you see with your own eyes the interesting scene of the water element pill becoming a common pill on the streets and everyone having one. Chapter 1971. The smile at the corner of Mu Yan's mouth became even more languid and cold. Like a high and mighty monarch, she finally extended her claws to punish the ant that provoked her again and again. Lung Yao, I hope that when the time comes, you and the Flow Moon sect won't regret provoking me and Liang Chen's army. Lung Yao met that pair of cold eyes. Hearing her words, she felt as if her whole body had fallen into an ice cellar. Her knees softened and she fell to the ground. Mu Yin did not give her another look and turned to look at Sister Hua. Sister Hua, didn't you say earlier that you wanted to refine pills? Almost in an instant, that monarch's disdainful smile turned into an obedient and gentle smile. Now, do you want to try refining the Flow Moon sect's unique treasure, water element pill, in front of everyone? Sister Hua was completely dumbfounded. Under Mu Yan's push, she stood in front of the alchemy cauldron. On the alchemy cauldron, Mu Yan had already pasted the second water element pill refining talisman. Sister Hua trembled as she raised her hand and circulated her spiritual energy in her palm. However, she did not dare to touch the talisman. She was afraid that she would damage this precious talisman. Mu Yan grabbed her hand and pressed it directly on the talisman. The talisman burned, and just like before, A fire rose in the alchemy cauldron. Then, an hour later, another cauldron of water element pills was done. Sister Hua's luck was actually better than Mu Yan's. This cauldron produced a total of 3 water element pills. When Sister Hua took out the 3 water element pills with trembling hands, she could no longer hold it in, and her eyes turned red. I actually refined water element pills? Is this really the water element pill that I refined? Mu Yan patted her shoulder and smiled. It's absolutely true. There's absolutely no falsehood. If you don't believe me, you can go and try it in reality, right now. Sister Huan nodded fiercely, and tears could not help but slide down her cheeks. I believe you. Great God Yi. As long as it's your words, I will never doubt it again. When the people in the reincarnation square saw this scene, they were really going crazy. If it was said that Mu Yin refined water element pills with talismans earlier, they still had some doubts. But now, even Sister Hua had refined a talisman puppet. They no longer had any doubts about it. Lung Yuyao's face was pale, and her whole body was cold. She kept shouting, impossible. The water element elixir was the treasure of the Flowing Moon sect. How could it become an elixir that could be found on the streets? If that was the case, what would happen to the Flowing Moon sect? Every year, the Flow Moon sect would rely on high-grade water element pills to win over the marquis and bribe the aristocratic families and sections. If everyone could concoct the water element pill, what advantage would the Flowing Moon sect have in the future? How could they survive in the Purple Cloud realm? As for the one who caused all of this, what would happen to her? No, you can't do that. Yap Liangchun, you can't do this to me. Give me the talisman. Give it all to me. The water element pill belongs to the Flowing Moon sect. None of you are allowed to sell it or refine it. Lung Yuyao frantically pounces towards Mu Yin. Mine's face doesn't even have time to hide. She sees a lightning strike down from the sky. Lung Yuyao's body twitched violently, and she let out a shrill scream. Her body slowly disappeared. Little Tian's triumphant voice resounds in Mu Yan's ears. First host, don't worry. This guy only has himself to blame. I, Little Tian, have punished him with a 3rd-level Divine Soul electric shock. His cultivation directly dropped by a great realm, and his Divine Soul was seriously injured. He will be no different from a cripple for the rest of his life. Chapter 1972. Hearing the obvious ups and downs in Little Tian's voice, Mu Yin increasingly feels that this guy's intelligence is really getting higher and higher. It's a world of difference from the rigid voice and inarticulate appearance at the beginning. But at this time, she doesn't have time to delve into it. Instead, she takes out a dozen water element pills to refine talismans, and says to Liang Qin below, Liang Qin's army that urgently needs water element pills to remove the pill fire poison. You can come to my place to get a talisman now. Don't worry if you can't get it for the time being. In the next few months, Laozi's #1 shop will sell 10 water element pills to refine talismans every day. Liang Qin's army can line up to make an appointment to buy. The price is the same as the barrier-breaking talisman, 1,000 high-grade crystal stones. As soon as these words come out, the eyes of the other cultivators in the reincarnation square turn red with jealousy. 1 talisman, that's 1 water element pill. No, if they're lucky, it might be 2 or even 3 water element pills. Although they still have to prepare their own elixirs. How can the price of unprocessed elixirs compare with water element pills? 1 talisman only needs 1,000 high-grade crystal stones, but 1 high-grade water element pill? Not even tens of thousands of crystal stones can buy it. Thinking of this, everyone is even more restless. Each and every one of them greedily and longingly stares at the talismans in the hands of Liang Qin's army, wishing that their eyeballs could pop out. Why aren't they Liang Qin's army? Why can't they buy 1 talisman with 1,000 crystal stones? Is it too late for them to join Liang Qin's army and become Great God Ye's loyal supporters? And in the center of the reincarnation square, each and every one of them feels elated, so excited that they almost kneel down to Mu Yin. However, they know that Great God Yi doesn't like these ostentation and situations. So, they just tell themselves over and over again in their hearts, Born into Liangchun, die together. Easy Brother is full of smiles on the high platform, arrogantly saying, Liangchen's army, line up and come over to register. The number one shop will arrange the order in which you buy talismans according to the degree of pill fire poison. With the order, Liang Chen's army immediately lines up around the central high platform. During this period, those who bought water element pills from Flowing Moon Pill House came over to line up with shame. Easy Brother didn't blame them in the slightest, but registered them as well, because they knew that these people didn't leave Liang Chen's army willingly. However, there were also some who betrayed Liang Chen's army and even turned around to trample on God Yi, spreading rumors and insulting God Yi everywhere. Such a scum also wanted to fish in troubled waters and collect the refining talisman, but was directly kicked out by Easy Bro, a bunch of treacherous villains. You actually want to refine talismans separately. Do you have any shame? We also supported Great God Ye's Liangchen army during the Golden Heavenly Light. Why can't you refine talismans for us? Sister Hua sneered and said, You guys are spreading rumors that Great God Ye's talismans are useless. Why didn't you think about the fact that you're a member of Liang Chen's army when you're trying to scam your money? These people couldn't help but become anxious when they saw that they were actually unable to obtain such a precious talisman. They look at Mayan with bitter and hateful expressions. Great God Yi, we were wrong. For the sake of the fact that we once followed and supported you, can you give us a refining talisman? Great God Yi, we bought a lot of talismans from Laozi's number one shop. We're so supportive of you, but you're not even willing to give us a talisman. Who would dare to follow you in the future? Chapter 1973. These people think that they can make Mayan compromise by pressuring her with words in public. After all, as a great god, he had the burden of being an idol. If he appeared too heartless, wouldn't it disappoint the other fans? Mu Yin looked at these people with a smile that was not a smile and said unhurriedly, The matters of Liang Chen's army will naturally be decided by Liang Chen's army. You can ask around. If half of the Good Dawn army here supports your return, I will naturally refine talismans for you. Before Mu Yin could finish his words, Liang Chen's army below shouted in unison, Traitor, get lost! Our Liangchen army does not welcome traitors. Do you really think that our Liangchen army is a trash shelter? Any Tom, Dick, or Harry would dare to sneak in. At this moment, these people were deeply proud of being part of Liangchen's army. He rejoiced that he admired someone worthy of admiration, especially when faced with the envious and jealous gazes of the other cultivators. Liangchen's army straightened their backs. Elegant Bro had already gathered Old Ma, Sister Hua, and a few other core members of Liang Chen's army to form the management team of Liang Chen's army. He was specifically in charge of formulating the rules of action for Liang Chen's army. Mu Yin looks at these people who won't leave or abandon her, and she can't help but feel great waves in her heart. The Liangchen army was not related to him at all. They did not even know his true identity and face. Yet he was willing to protect and support him unconditionally, and she had nothing to repay these people with. She could only make herself stronger and more outstanding. They would never regret their support at this moment. Right now, Mu Yin doesn't know. In the near future, Liang Chen's army would grow bigger and bigger like a rolling snowball, until one day it became the third force after the unfettered Seven Devils and the Netherflame army, sweeping across the entire cultivation continent. There were no more kings under Yap Liangchen. And I, Liang Chen's army, will be behind you, breaking through the thorns and opening up new territories for you. In the Tianlang Palace, Mayan is refining pills in the pill room. Xiao Bao sits on the side, cleverly sorting out the spirit herbs for her, passing them to Mu Yin from time to time. At this time, what Mu Yin was refining was the Ziyuan pill that she was going to give to Xiao Bao. Mu Yin has already collected all the elixirs needed for the Ji Yuan Dan. But she tried several times, but she was always stuck at the last step and eventually failed. The only thing worth rejoicing over was that even though he had failed, he had still successfully refined the Ji Yuan Dan. However, what could be replenished was not immortal energy, but spiritual energy. The alchemy furnace let out a buzzing sound, and a rich fragrance overflowed. If other alchemists smelled this pure medicinal fragrance, they would definitely shout out in excitement. Best quality alchemy pill. However, Mu Yin let out a long sigh, revealing a depressed expression. Sure enough, the refining of the Ji Yuan Dan this time failed again. What was the problem? Nyang Qin, Xiaobao obediently snuggles into Mu Yan's arms. He raises his head, his big eyes flickering as he looks at Mu Yan. Nyang Qin, Xiaobao is fine. He doesn't need to take the elixir. Xiaobao will work harder and harder. I will definitely become stronger and protect Mother. As he spoke, he clenched his small fist. His blue eyes were filled with determination and tenacity that a 5 or 6-year-old child would never have. Mu Yin hugs him tightly. His heart was filled with pride and sorrow. While other children were acting spoiled and willful, her Xiaobao was so sensible and obedient. Chapter 1974. He doesn't ask for anything, he just wants to become stronger and protect his mother. However, as his mother, she can't give Xiaobao the best resources. Maybe she should let Di Mingju take Xiaobao to the Xioshan continent. That place is full of immortal energy and Di Mingju's protection. It's the most suitable place for Xiaobao to grow and cultivate. However, she's only at the gold core stage, and her body hasn't transformed into an immortal body yet. If she goes to the Xioshan continent, she can only rely on elixirs to advance. That kind of advancement is like a mirage, destroyed by the wind and rain. It will inevitably collapse. But if she doesn't go, she will be separated from Xiaobao. At the thought of being separated from Xiaobao again, Mu Yin feels as if a knife is twisting in her heart. She can't help but tighten her grip on Xiaobao. Nyang Qin, as if feeling Mu Yan's sadness, Xiaobao raises his head in panic. However, before she could ask anything, she heard the door being pushed open with a bang. Lung Yuma rushes in like a gust of wind, laughing. Little junior sister, there's great news. Do you want to hear it? Mu Yin withdraws her emotions from her sad bosom and smiles. Is it the carefree team that won the Dear Ming banquet? Lung Yuma stares blankly. Then she waves her hand indifferently. Who said that? Isn't it a matter of course that my carefree team won the championship? If it weren't for the fact that you weren't there for the last few matches, it would be easy for us to beat a dozen teams. Mu Yin listens to the fourth sister's merciless boasting and can't help but laugh out loud. However, Lung Yuma is right. Except for the Fusang team, the Carefree team was defeated by the Changing Moon team. The rest of the matches, the Carefree team won, especially against the strongest team in the Southern Land, the Mo Ting team. Even with Mu Yan's absence, they still managed to obtain victory in the end. Nowadays, in the eyes of the cultivators of the Purple Cloud Realm, the Carefree team is second only to the Qilin team. They're the well-deserved champion of this Dear Ming banquet. At this time, no one knows that this terrifyingly powerful Carefree team hasn't exerted their full strength at all. That's because the Carefree team's strongest support and strongest fighting force have never shown their true strength from beginning to end. Mu Yin, if it's not the championship, then what good news is it? When I went to the Divine Elephant City today, I heard some news about the Flow Moon sect. Mu Yan's heart stirred. What about the Flow Moon sect? Lung Yuyao seemed to have thought of something and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Little junior sister, I have to say, the longer you stay with third senior brother, the more vicious and sinister you become. You refined the recipe of the Flowing Moon sect's most treasured water element pill into a talisman and sold it everywhere in the Tianguang ruins. How could you even think of this? Do you know how much of the Flowing Moon sect's current status and business is supported by the water element pill? Now that you have publicly announced the water element elixir's formula, anyone who knows how to refine elixirs would be able to refine the water element elixir after seeing the process of refining the talisman elixir. Those who don't know how to refine elixirs just have to queue up and buy a talisman from Lousy's #1 store. Then they will be able to get the water element elixir. A sect's most treasured treasure has now become a street item that's not much more expensive than a restoration spirit pill. I can imagine how ugly the Flowing Moon sect's master's face must be. And as the main culprit, Lung Yuyao, what will happen to her? Chapter 1975. Mu Yin can't help but smile. This was the effect she wanted. How could refining the water element elixir be enough of a blow to the Flowing Moon sect? She wanted the elixir that the Flowing Moon sect relied on to survive, to become worthless trash. She was the one who spread the news about using talismans to refine pills. Lung Yuma continued, I heard that those foolish sects and clans that bought the water element pills at a high price went to the Flow Moon sect and smashed them into pieces. They even stole a lot of their belongings. TSK, 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 the Flowing Moon sect is really finished this time. Mu Yan's expression was cold as she said with a faint smile, the Flowing Moon sect doesn't have the water element pill, but they still have other unique pill recipes. I'm afraid I won't be able to finish it in a short period of time. Not bad, not bad. If people don't offend us, we won't offend them. If people offend us, we'll cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. That's the motto of our Xiao Yao sect. Just when Lung Yuma was about to come up with an idea to make the Flowing Moon sect unable to get up again, she saw a paper crane flapping its wings and flying in from the window. There was a Chinquan bag under the wings of the paper crane. The Chinquan bag was imprinted with the mark of a small green sword. It's little Martial Uncle's messenger paper crane. Lung Yuma took off the Chinquan bag and said happily, I wonder what good things Junior Martial Uncle has given you this time. Her voice abruptly stops, then she raises her head to look at Mayan. She clicks her tongue and shakes her head, sighing. This is really like someone delivering a pillow when you're dozing off. Little Martial Uncle really knows you too well. Ha ha ha. Mu Yin was puzzled and turned around to take a look. She couldn't help but look at Lung Yuma and laugh out loud. He saw that the Chinquan bag contained a reply to Mu Yin. All that was left were a few medicine bottles. On each of the bottles, there were Dew Drop Pill, Small Reversion Pill, Profound Flame Pill. Each of them was a unique pill that the Flowing Moon sect relied on to survive. If high-grade water element pills were to become commonplace goods, the Flowing Moon sect might only suffer a blow, but it wouldn't be destroyed. However, if all of the pill formulas were made public and everyone could refine them, in that case, the value of the Flowing Moon sect would completely disappear. They would also be completely erased from the Purple Cloud realm. Mu Yin picks up a bottle of elixirs, and the corners of her mouth can't help but raise into a lazy smile. Ever since she was in the Yinwu continent, the people of the Flowing Moon sect have repeatedly persecuted and attacked her. Even Chang Yu's death was single-handedly caused by these people. Now, it was time for the culprits to pay a painful price. However, the top priority was not to draw the refining talismans for these elixirs, but to refine the Ziyuan elixir that Xiao Bao could take. Xiao Bao suddenly held up the Ziyuan Dan that Mayan had just refined and gave it to Lung Yuma. Fourth Master, eat. When Lung Yuma saw that the baby was cold and adorable, as well as well-behaved and sensible, she found it extremely rare. She hugged Xiao Bao and was about to kiss his face a few times. In the end, Xiao Bao dodged to the side and said seriously with a straight face, men and women should not touch. Xiao Bao will only kiss mother. Lung Yuma laughed so hard that she was rocking back and forth. How did Junior Sister give birth to such a cute baby? She wanted nothing more than to snatch it back and hide it. Wiping away tears of laughter, Lung Yuma looks at Mayan. These failed again? Mayan sighs and nods. The people of the Xiaoyao sect all knew that Mayan was refining the Ziyuan Dan for Xiaobao to take. It's just that after several days, even the extremely talented Junior Sister still couldn't successfully refine it. Chapter 1976. As a result, these failed products became the food for the senior and junior brothers. Lung Yuma grabbed a pill and casually threw it into her mouth. She couldn't help but sigh. After eating 3 of these Yuan Dan, I have already reached the 3rd stage of Aura's Core. Furthermore, there are almost no side effects. If it was sold outside, many shoujo would spend thousands of Jingshi to fight over it. In the end, it was still a failed product to you, Junior Sister. You threw it to us to eat like candy. TSK, TSK, TSK. If those alchemists who have been immersed in alchemy for dozens of years were to find out about this, they would definitely be angered to death. Mu Yin looked at Lung Yuma with a smile. 4th Senior Sister doesn't want it? Then I'll give it to Xiao Qi. What a joke. You can give it to anyone, but little 7. Lung Yuma furrowed her brows and said, Shao-Chi broke through to the 3rd level of the Gold Core realm. His cultivation is higher than us. It's enough to have you, little junior sister, as a monster. If you add Shao-Chi, where we put our faces as senior brothers and sisters. Mine could not help but laugh. She no longer paid attention to Lung Yuma and continued to refine pills. Xiaobao immediately and obediently helps Mayan sort out the elixirs needed for the Ziyuan Dan. After they're done, he hands them over to her one by one. The fat rabbit rolled over at the side, revealing its belly as it slept soundly. The elixirs needed to concoct the Ziyuan pill were not particularly precious. However, it involved a lot of spirit herbs, more than 3 times that of ordinary pills. Even if Mayan's divine sense and spiritual power were extremely vigorous, it would still be impossible for her to completely refine and fuse them in one go. During the refinement process, there would be at least 2 pauses to consume replenishing spirit pills and wait for their spiritual power to recover a little before continuing. This was also the method that many alchemists would use when refining complicated pills. Muyan suspects that the problem lies in the failure to refine the Ziyuan Dan all the time. Therefore, the refinement this time. When her spiritual power is about to run out, she doesn't stop the output of spiritual power. Instead, she uses her other hand to play the Tian Mo Qin. His 5 slender fingers danced on the strings like a phantom. Moreover, it was getting faster and faster. Echo breath and clouds forming seas were activated at the same time. In a trance, Lung Yuma even felt that her junior sister was only playing with one hand, but she seemed to hear 2 different songs mixed together. However, as the spiritual power required for cloud birth and sea formation and alchemy increased, echo and breath began to be unable to support it. It must be known that the echo sound is essentially for the shun musician to assist others, so playing it naturally consumes spiritual power. Mu Yan's complexion starts to turn pale, and fine beads of sweat appear on her forehead. Her spiritual power had been consumed to the limit, but she didn't want to stop. She had a premonition that if she stopped halfway, she would still fail to refine the Ziyuan Dan this time. Mother, you're sweating a lot. Xiaobao looked at Mu Yan worriedly. His big eyes were wide open, and his little hands were tightly clenched. Lung Yuma also sat up straight and said nervously, Junior sister, if you can't refine it, don't force yourself. Let's think of another way. However, at this moment, Mu Yan's mind was filled with an explosion, and he could no longer hear any sounds from the outside. Her fingers moved mechanically over the strings. Her primordial spirit seemed to float away, sinking into the alchemy furnace. Every inch of her divine sense was connected to the elixirs in the alchemy furnace. That kind of feeling was very mysterious. Chapter 1977. It's as if she clearly knows the medicinal properties of every drop and every trace of these melted elixirs. She knows how much Dan fire they need, how much spiritual power they need when they will fuse and when they will condense. But at the same time, her spiritual power consumption is increasing. Her sweat is almost gone, and the capillaries on the surface of her body are ruptured. Fine beads of blood ooze out from her skin. For a moment, the lake blue clothes on her body are dyed red. Her snow-white skin is almost covered with blood. Her whole body is like being fished out of a pool of blood. Nyangqin. Xiaobao is so anxious that he almost cries. Nyangqin is injured. He is by Nyangqin's side. How can he let Nyangqin get hurt? Right, Nyangqin wants to refine elixirs, but she doesn't have enough spiritual power. Then Xiaobao will help Nyangqin input her spiritual power. At this time, Xiaobao doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't know that different spiritual powers can't be injected into the same elixir. And now, what's inside his body isn't spiritual power, but immortal power. Xiaobao only wants to help Nyangqin so that she won't bleed in pain. Little hands are placed on the furnace, and immortal power is injected without reservation. Seeing Xiaobao like this, Lung Yuma grits her teeth, stands up, and puts her hands on the furnace. The fat rabbit is awakened by Xiao Bao's voice. Seeing the two's movements, Meng Bean eyes flash, and it jumps up. Pasting it on the furnace, it also injects its own demon power. Xiao Bao and Lung Yuma don't know how to refine elixirs, plus the fat rabbit is purely messing around. Just like that, very foolishly and naively, he injected all his spiritual energy, immortal energy, and demon energy into the alchemy furnace. They have no idea how shocking it is for two kinds of spiritual power, immortal power, and demon power to gather in the same furnace. Mu Yin has already entered the mysterious out-of-body realm and doesn't know what's happening in the room. So, half an hour later, there's a loud bang in the furnace of Tianlang Palace. The whole Flying Dragon City is shaking. If Flying Dragon City wasn't a mustard divine tool, the furnace of Tianlang Palace would have been completely blown into powder. A thick smoke curls out from the top of Tianlang Palace. The people of the Xiaoyao sect, who had been cultivating in their own rooms, hurriedly ran out. Even the cultivators in the other palaces of the Flying Dragon City were alarmed and surrounded the Tianlang Palace to listen to the situation. Cough, cough, cough. Lung Yuma was the first to rush out of the house. Next is Mu Yin, who was holding Xiao Bao. Beside him was a fat rabbit whose fur had turned completely black. He kept shaking his head to get rid of the dust on his body. At this moment, the three people and the rabbit's original appearance couldn't be seen at all. Their faces were covered in ash, and only their snow-white teeth and bright eyes could be seen. Little junior sister, fourth brother, what are you two doing? Lung Yuma said gloomily. Alchemy, who knew that the alchemy furnace would be so weak that it actually exploded. Xiao Bao nodded in agreement. Just like what Bai Xie said, it was a fake product. What a scam. The people surrounding Tianlang Palace rolled their eyes in unison when they heard this. Which of the alchemy furnaces in the Flying Dragon City wasn't above the 7th grade? Tianlang Palace would only be better. They could actually blow up a 7th grade alchemy furnace. It has to be said that the fighting power of the Xiaorao sect is too strong. But obviously, they don't know how to refine elixirs. Seeing that there's nothing else, the cultivators slowly dispersed. Lung Yuma led Xiao Bao to an empty counter and placed the pill box on the counter. I want to praise the pill. The person in charge of this counter was a middle-aged man in his 40s. When he heard this, he raised his head with a face full of smiles. However, when he saw Lung Yuma and Xiao Bao, he couldn't help but frown. The reason was that their appearances were too ordinary. In Tianguang ruins, there weren't many people who changed their looks because they had to go through identity verification. However, almost everyone would change their looks. Therefore, handsome men and beautiful women could be seen everywhere. However, this androgynous fellow and the little doll were already so ugly in the Tianguang ruins. Not to mention in reality, it would definitely be shameful. Judging a book by its cover was the instinct of many people. Therefore, this middle-aged man's originally warm smile became faint. Chapter 1979. He casually took the medicine box and opened it. This time, he revealed an expression of disdain. Normally, elixirs that were grade 4 and above would have a fragrance and spirit chi presence when they appeared in the Heaven Light ruins. But the elixir in his hand was pitch black and looked like a mud ball. It was obvious that this was an elixir that was below grade 4. How could such an elixir be appraised? The middle-aged man said impatiently. The appraisal hall has a rule that elixirs below grade 4 will need to pay 1 high-grade crystal stone for each appraisal. Elixirs below grade 6 will need to pay 10 high-grade crystal stones. Elixirs below grade 8 will need to pay 100 high-grade crystal stones. I don't think your elixir is worth 1 high-grade crystal stone, right? Are you sure you want to appraise it? Lung Yuma felt very bewildered too. Back in the Tianlang Palace, the elixir was obviously fragrant and had a special luster pattern on the surface. But in the Heaven Light ruins, it had turned into a mud ball. But even if it had turned into a mud ball, it still had to be appraised. I am sure, the middle-aged man said. What grade do you want to appraise? Grade 6. Lung Yumal remembered that her junior sister mentioned that she could only refine grade 6 elixirs at best. The middle-aged man sneered in his heart. Where did this country bumpkin come from? He actually dared to appraise a grade 6 elixir with such a quality? Did he have too many crystal stones to burn? But he wasn't a fool to give up on the crystal stones. Seeing that Lung Yumal had paid the crystal stones, he was about to take it for appraisal. Suddenly, a slender hand pressed on the medicine box and a man's voice echoed. Wait a moment. Let me take a look at this elixir. The middle-aged supervisor raised his head and saw who it was and instantly put on a flattering smile. Lord Fuchen, why are you here? Did you refine a new elixir? Lung Yumal and Xiaobao looked up at the same time and stared at the handsome man in front of them. This person was Fuchen, a bastard who wanted to steal their junior sister's mother's belongings. Both of them had unkind expressions. Lung Yumal quickly took the medicine box and stuffed it into Xiaobao's arms. Apologies, didn't your father teach you not to touch other people's belongings without permission? Before the man could speak, a middle-aged woman behind the man yelled, Presumptuous! Who gave you the guts to speak to Lord Fuchen like this? Lung Yumal sneered, raised her chin, and said with an unruly look, I was born with nothing else but courage. If you have the guts, come and bite me. The middle-aged woman's face was cold, and her eyes were filled with killing intent. However, when she met Lung Yuma's eyes, her expression slightly changed. He almost blurted out, What is your name? This girl's eyes, why are they so similar to that person? When the middle-aged woman thought of the person who had been killed, a trace of panic flashed across her face. No, impossible. It was just a coincidence. Moreover, this young girl only had a pair of eyes that resembled that person. Her appearance was completely different. That's right. It must be a coincidence. Feng Yu stepped down. Chu Tianyu lightly shouted. The middle-aged woman then retreated to the back in a daze, but her gaze unconsciously drifted towards Lung Yumal. This middle-aged woman was the elder of the Flow Moon sect, Lung Yuyao's aunt, Feng Yu. After Lung Yuyao suffered a soul electric shock and was expelled from the Heaven Light ruins, the Flow Moon sect's water element elixirs became cheap goods that could be found on the streets. Feng Yu made a prompt decision and brought along a few of the Flow Moon sect's elixir recipes to seek refuge with the Ding country marquis, Chu Xinyan. Chapter 1980. She even gave Lung Yuyao, who had lost most of her cultivation, to one of Chu Xinyan's confidants. That confidant's strength was superb. He was loyal and devoted to Chu Xinyan, but he had a penchant for abusing women. Feng Yu's actions made him very happy, so he helped her put in a few good words in front of Chu Xinyan. As such, Feng Yu was able to stay by Chu Tianyu's side to serve him. She even knew that Chu Tianyu was the famous great god Fuchen in Tingguang ruins. Chu Tianyu walked forward and revealed a refined and courteous smile towards Lung Yumal and Xiaobao. You two don't have to be nervous. I just feel that this pill of yours is very special, and I want to buy it. Why don't the two of you name a price? As he spoke, he subconsciously glanced at Xiaobao. When he met little Bao's dark blue eyes, his heart trembled for no reason. This little child seemed inconspicuous, but he felt an indescribable sense of reverence towards him. Just like the pill in his hand, at a glance there was not even a fluctuation of spiritual power. However, Chu Tianyu could faintly sense a familiar aura from this pill. This was the aura of the incomparably expensive pill that his father took every day. Moreover, it was far thicker than the one he had smelled before. Chu Tianyu asked this question because he was waiting for Lung Yumal to answer. Unexpectedly, the child holding the pill coldly said, Not selling. Lung Yumal sneered. Did you hear that? This is my martial nephew's pill. He said he won't sell it. Aren't you going to scram? No matter how good Chu Tianyu's temper was, his face couldn't help but turn cold after being repeatedly told to scram. Lord Fuchen. The middle-aged steward stepped forward with a fawning smile. Don't bother with this bunch of country bumpkins. They dared to bring a grade 3 pill to the appraiser hall for appraisal. It was purely a waste of crystals. I wonder if Lord Fuchen is going to appraise the elixir this time? Before Chu Tianyu could say anything, Feng Yu had already stepped forward, took out a box, and slowly opened it. This is a 6th grade pill that my family's young master just refined. I've made some improvements based on the Zhen Yuan pill, so I'm here to appraise it. The moment the box was opened, a rich medicinal fragrance wafted into the air. Good medicine. Good medicine. This is a top-grade, grade 6 medicinal pill. The middle-aged manager flattered. Lord Fuchin, you are truly worthy of being the #1 concoction master in the Heaven Light Ruins. This lowly one will go and appraise it for you now. As he spoke, he looked at Xiao Bao. If you want to do the appraisal of a 6th grade medicinal pill, then come in with us. TSK, I don't know what these people are thinking. It's obviously trash, but they still want to sit for a 6th grade medicinal pill appraisal. The middle-aged manager brought Chu Tianyu, Xiao Bao, and Lung Yuma into the 6th grade pill appraisal room. Chapter 1981. Medicinal King's Inheritance welcomes you, 1. The middle-aged supervisor asked with excitement. What is this fragrance? Why is it so alluring? Lord Fuchin, your elixir is truly remarkable. Fuchin frowned because he knew clearly about the composition and smell of his elixir, and it wasn't like this. Furthermore, this fragrance was extremely similar to the elixir that his father consumed. If he felt that this fragrance was just an illusion when he was outside, then now, before he could finish thinking, the entire inspection treasure pavilion suddenly shook violently. A blinding light burst out from the 10 glazed cauldrons and rushed straight for the ceiling. It had even penetrated through the roof of the inspection treasure pavilion. Immediately after, the entire Tianguang ruins started to ripple like a mist that was blown by the wind. The originally simulated sky was now filled with colorful rays of light. All the cultivators in the Tianguang ruins were shocked and couldn't help but look up at the sky. What is going on? Is the Tianguang ruins going to collapse? No, it can't be. Wouldn't our divine souls be trapped here? What kind of joke is this? The Tianguang ruins has existed for so many years. How is it possible for it to collapse? But the Tianguang ruins has never experienced such a situation before. Even the ground that we are standing on seems to be trembling. Just as everyone was bewildered and fearful about what was happening, a mechanical and cold voice echoed in the sky and echoed in everyone's ears. Now announcing the Tianguang ruins temporary announcement. Just a moment ago, the Tianguang ruins God-class mission, Medicinal King's Inheritance, has been activated. The spatial zone of the Medicinal King's Inheritance has been activated in a certain place in the Tianguang ruins. All cultivators below the age of 30 and who have attained the cultivation of Anidia are eligible to participate. All users are welcome to challenge. From now onwards, the Tianguang ruins will enter a Class 3 state of alert and will open up its maximum capacity until someone completes the Medicinal King's Inheritance mission and obtains the title of the Medicinal King's Inheritor. I repeat once more, from now onwards, just as the cultivators in the Tianguang ruins were in a state of shock at almost the same time in the outside world, the entire cultivation continent had also experienced a change. The originally clear blue sky and the radiant sun were suddenly enveloped by a layer of radiance. This radiance was silver at first, and then it emitted a 7-colored radiance. A deep and resounding voice, like the voice of an oracle descending from the heavens, fell into everyone's ears and even struck their souls. Harboring the heart of saving the world, refining a pill that defies the heavens and changes fate, seizing the soul of the king of hell. This is the sacred ancestor Medicine King. 800 years. It has been 800 years. On this continent, someone has finally triggered the Medicine King's inheritance. From now on, activate the inheritance space of the sacred ancestor Medicine King and choose the Medicine King's successor. All practitioners below the age of 30 can enter the Sky Light Ruins to participate. In the end, the one who passes the 3 tests and obtains the Medicine King's token will become the sacred ancestor Medicine King. The only successor. Dinghua Marquis residence. Chu Xingyan, who was in the middle of a discussion with his subordinates, suddenly raised his head. He did not bother to hide his loss of composure and rushed out of the room. Medicine King Legacy. Medicine King Legacy. So the legends are true. The cultivation continent really does have the inheritance of the sacred ancestor Medicine King. Haha, as long as I obtain the inheritance of the sacred ancestor Medicine King, why should I worry about my short lifespan? Why should I worry about not being able to ascend? Chu Xinyan suddenly turned back, his face almost distorted with excitement. Come, immediately gather all the young alchemists that I have nurtured. Chapter 1982. The Medicine King's inheritance welcomes you too. Yes, Marquis. Chu Xinyan lowered his head and slowly took off his gloves, revealing his wrinkled hands. He gritted his teeth and murmured, "This Marquis must obtain the Medicine King's inheritance." Dragon Soaring Academy. All the teachers and students, including the teams participating in the Deer Cry Banquet, were gathered in Flying Dragon City. Looking at the slowly dissipating rainbow light in the sky, many people simply couldn't come back to their senses. Oh my God! I always thought that the Medicine King's inheritance in Tingguang Ruins was just a legend. I didn't expect it to be true. The one who spoke was a student of Dragon Soaring Academy. Under everyone's questioning, the student vividly told a rumor among the alchemists. It turned out that as early as hundreds of years ago, there was this kind of rainbow light in the sky. It was also a deep voice that told them that the world's most powerful Medicine King, the only divine ancestor-level alchemist, had left the Medicine King's inheritance in their cultivation continent's Tingguang ruins. As long as someone triggered it, the inheritance space would open. Once the inheritance space opened, anyone could enter and accept the trial. As long as someone passed the 3 trials, they could obtain the entire inheritance of the Medicine King, and even become the next successor of the famous Medicine King in the cultivation continent. At that time, all the alchemists of the cultivation continent poured into the Tingguang ruins to find the inheritance of the Medicine King. However, 1 year passed, 2 years passed, 10 years passed, and not even a shadow was found. Slowly, everyone became disappointed, thinking that this was just a prank played by the immortals of the cultivation continent to play with everyone. Even now, 800 years later, 90% of the people in the cultivation continent didn't even know about the Medicine King's inheritance. However, today, out of the blue, the King of Herbology's inheritance was triggered. No one has triggered the Medicine King's inheritance in 800 years, which almighty being is so awesome to actually trigger it. That's right, I heard that 800 years ago, almost everyone in the cultivation continent went into the Tingguang ruins to look for it. They tried everything, but not even a hair was found. Hearing the discussion, the people of the Xiaorao sect all turned to look at Mu Yin. Mu Yin was dumbfounded. Why are you looking at me? I've been very low-key these days, okay? I was just refining pills in the alchemy room. What does the Medicine King's inheritance have to do with me? The people of the Xiaorao sect agreed. The King of Medicine's inheritance space is in Tingguang ruins, and Junior Sister didn't go there just now, so it shouldn't be her who triggered it, right? The main reason was that their junior sister was really too good at making trouble. She was the Lord of Black Sky sect and the Lord of 6 stars. The dark night was like day, the heavens swaying and the earth moving. Multicolored light rushed into the heavens, and from time to time, it would come out. They were all numb. Therefore, when the Medicine King's inheritance was triggered, they subconsciously thought of Mu Yin. However, this time, it really had nothing to do with Junior Sister. Only Chu Moli's lips curled up, and a meaningful smile hung on his face. He softly muttered in a low voice, "Is it really all right? If I remember correctly, that pill should have just arrived at the appraiser hall to be appraised, right?" After the hubbub, the crowd quickly dispersed. Most people were anxious to head to the Tingguang ruins to find the inheritance of the Medicine King. The pill alchemists were excited and eager to give it a try. That was the Medicine King's inheritance, the real Medicine King's inheritance. As long as they obtained the Medicine King's inheritance, it would be equivalent to instantly becoming the #1 alchemist in the cultivation continent. Chapter 1983. Deming Ju. Just wait for my disciple to beat you up? Such a privilege, such a boundless future. Who wouldn't want it? Who wouldn't desire it? Junior Sister, let's go to Tingguang ruins to take a look, Yun Ruhan said. Luo Yu nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes. How could our Xiao Yao school miss out on such a big show? Moreover, sixth senior sister, you are so good at alchemy, maybe the Medicine King's inheritance is yours. Luo Yu's words were heard by the dragon soaring academy students beside her, and they could not help but snort disdainfully. A person who could blow up the entire Tianlang Palace alchemy room just by refining pills dares to brag about his alchemy prowess? Ha! Ha ha! Nowadays, anyone dares to covet the Medicine King's inheritance. Carefree team, we admit that your combat strength is very strong, but don't join in the excitement of alchemy. The surrounding inheritors laughed and laughed. Not everyone was malicious. After all, the strength of the Carefree team had already been recognized by everyone. They simply felt that it was impossible for the members of the Carefree team to know alchemy. Luo Yu was so angry that she wanted to argue with them, but was pulled back by Mu Yin. Sixth senior sister, they actually said that you don't know how to refine pills. This group of idiots, the Ziyuan pill refined by his sixth senior sister. Which of these trash present could refine it? Mayan smiled and said, words are better than action. What's more, you forgot that eldest brother told us to keep a low profile. Let's go and take a look at the Tianguang ruins. Yun Ruhan thought to herself, it's not credible to say something like low-key from your mouth, junior sister. Xiuxin Continent, the northern border of the polar domain. Diming Ju led the Xian Division and Crescent Moon Division, and just destroyed a wave of Hogui attacks. Because Diming Ju is here, there aren't many casualties in the polar domain this time. Only a few of them had been poisoned by a small amount of pi poison, and they could be cured with the Heaven Spirit detoxification pill. The eyes of the people of Xian Department and Crescent Moon Department are filled with worship and awe as they look at Diming Ju. Their ruler was so powerful, so perfect, so aloof like a god. However, this group of people did not know that the high and mighty god in their eyes looked cold and calm at the moment. The longing and impatience in his heart had already overflowed, and he could not bear it any longer. He took out a talisman and burned it with his divine power. A warm breath flows through his body, as if Mu Yin is by his side. But his cultivation is really too high. A talisman refined by a cultivator of Mu Yan's level. Even if it's a heaven-defying treasure to others, it's still not enough. To him, it only lingered for a few breaths before disappearing without a trace. And the talismans that Mu Yin gave him are almost used up. Cough! Jun Shang. Elder Chang said in a low voice, don't worry. In 10 days at most, the weakened barrier will stabilize again. The poltergeist ghosts will not be able to enter again. When that time comes, you can go to the Xiuzhen mainland to look for Miss June and resolve your longing. On the side, Han Yi butts in. Jun Shang doesn't just want to resolve the pain of lovesickness, He's afraid that Miss June's charm is too great. If he doesn't go, she'll be seduced by other pretty boys. Especially the one called Luo Yunxiao. He claimed to be Miss June's junior uncle. It was obvious that he had ill intentions towards Miss June. The most important thing is that person's appearance is really not inferior to Jun Shang's. If Miss June is really tempted, cough, 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 Ingmei heavily tugs at him, and even uses a cough to warn him. Han Yi only then raises his head in hindsight. He looks at God Ju Yin, his cold and gloomy, yet slightly sneering face. Chapter 1984. Diming Ju, just wait to be beaten by my disciple, too. There was a loud noise in his head, and he thought to himself, it's over. Had he just been beaten silly by the venomous ghost? Why did he say what was on his mind in a moment of stupor? Jun Shang. I'm joking. Ha ha ha. Miss June's feelings for you are stronger than gold. Any gigolo would be able to seduce her. Moreover, there is still the little Gongzi. The little Gongzi will only recognize you as his father. Diming Ju coldly says, Purgatory Pool, 3 months. No, it wasn't easy for him to escape the Purgatory Pool. How could he go back in again? Han Yi is just about to cry and hug his thigh to plead for leniency when he sees a figure rushing over from afar as fast as lightning. The person hasn't arrived yet, but he can already hear the young and immature laughter of a young man. Ha 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 ha. Han Yi, you henchman, still not coming out for this old man. Kneel down and sing conquer. When everyone looked up, They saw Han Chuji's soft and delicate face fell to the ground in a blink of an eye. The expression on his face could only be described as arrogant and despotic with his nose in the air. The moment he landed, he pointed at Di Mingju and yelled, "Di Mingju, you rascal! In the past, embezzling this old man's medicinal pills. Wasn't that bullying our Medicine King Hall for not having anyone? Ha ha ha, just you wait. Very soon, my obedient disciple will come and beat you until you're looking for your teeth on the ground." Chang Lao first accuses Han Chuji's attitude towards Di Mingju. Hearing this, he was taken aback. "Little Nine, what do you mean?" The smile on Han Chuji's face became more and more arrogant. It can even be described as domineering. It was just that his appearance was too cute. Not only did he not look fierce when he bared his fangs and brandished his claws. On the contrary, they were soft and squishy, giving one the urge to pinch their cheeks. On the side, Han Yi is having a hard time holding back his laughter. However, Han Chuji's next sentence made him unable to smile anymore. "My Medicine King legacy space has been activated." "What? That's impossible. How could such a perverted Herb King's inheritance space be punished?" Elder Chang, Ing Mei, and Han Yi couldn't help but exclaim in unison. Even Di Mingju shows an astonished expression. They are not making a fuss, but the conditions to trigger Han Chuji's Medicine King's inheritance is really harsh. First of all, there had to be a person in the cultivation continent whose root bone age was below 30 years old who was able to refine a pill. This was no ordinary pill. Instead, it had to be a pill that contained at least 4 different auras, immortal energy and demonic energy. Not to mention the cultivation continent. Even in the cultivation continent, very few people could refine pills that contained 4 types of auras at the same time. If too many impure auras were mixed into the cauldron would explode with the slightest carelessness, and the spirit herbs and immortal herbs would disappear without a trace. Not to mention, it also contained immortal energy and demonic energy. Demonic energy was one thing, but how could there be immortal energy in the cultivation continent? However, merely refining the pill was not enough. He also had to bring this elixir to the Tingguang ruins, and the elixir was placed in the array formation set by Han Chujius. As for the location of the Tingguang ruins, Han Chujio didn't tell anyone. Several hundred years ago, Han Yi and the others were idle and bored, so they once tried to look for it in Tingguang ruins. As a result, they almost turned the entire Tingguang ruins upside down, but they still couldn't find the array containing immortal energy. This was an impossible trigger condition. Don't say that Han Yi and the others scoffed. Even Han Chujio had long been desperate. However, today, Han Chujio unexpectedly told them that the inheritance space had been triggered. Chapter 1985. Di Mingju, just wait to be beaten by my disciple 3. Chang Lao grabbed Han Chuji's arm and said with a trembling voice, "Little Jiu, are you serious? The Medicine King Hall's inheritance space was really triggered? There's finally hope to get rid of the curse on you?" Chang Lao was so excited that he almost cried. But the curse that he said didn't affect Han Chuji's mood at all. He beamed with joy and said, "Nonsense, of course it's true." Even the Heaven Void cauldron shook. How could it be fake? "Ha ha, Di Mingju, just wait for this old man's disciple to beat you up. Oh right, and that lackey of yours, he'll be called Yi Han in the future." The corner of Han Ye's mouth twitches, still in disbelief. That's impossible. To be able to satisfy such perverse conditions. Just how heaven-defying must this person's luck be? Han Chujio proudly said, "This old man's apprentice is naturally amazing, smart, and heaven-defying. There's no use in being jealous." Han Yi humphed, "You're talking as if you already have an apprentice. Who told you that the person who triggers the inheritance condition must be the person who becomes your apprentice? Maybe they don't care at all? Furthermore, don't forget how perverted the 3 tests of your inheritance space are. It's not at all easier than opening the inheritance space, all right? Are you sure you'll have a disciple soon?" Han Chuji's face stiffens. Then his cheeks puffed up in anger. "Bastard lackey, don't pour cold water on me. Either way, this old man will have a disciple very soon." The Medicine King Hall will have a successor very soon. Just wait for my precious disciple to teach you a lesson." As he spoke, he turned around and flew away in a huff. Elder Chong looked at his back as he left. At first, he was in a daze. Then, his eyes turned slightly red. 800 years. It's been a whole 800 years. Little Nine has finally received his redemption. Hanyi clicks his tongue, gloomily saying, "I still can't figure out such abnormal conditions. Who triggered it?" Humph humph. But it's still too early for him to find a disciple through the inheritance space. Who would be able to complete such a perverted test in such a short amount of time? Absolutely impossible. Tingguang ruins. Nyangqin, his small body, suddenly pounces into Mayan's embrace, hugging and rubbing against her. That small face, which has always been ice-cold, only shows childishness and attachment in front of Mayan. In the Tingguang ruins, his mother's appearance had changed. However, Little Treasure was able to recognize it at a glance, because the smell of Yap Lianshan was exactly the same as his mother. Mu Yan hugs and kisses Xiaobao. Looking at the name displayed above his head that only those close to him could see, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. Above Xiaobao's head were the words, "Cute little Shota." When Xiaobao saw Mu Yan laughing, his face turned serious and he said angrily, "It was Bai Xie who said mother would like it. Bai Xie, you bastard." He actually lied to him. His mother didn't like him at all. He wanted to change his name and bury the broken sword when he got back. "Don't!" Lung Yuma, Luo Yu, and the others held back their laughter and said, "I feel that the name Cute Little Shota is too suitable for you, Xiaobao." Under Bai Xie's explanation, they already knew what he meant. In this world, is there a Shota more cute and beautiful than their little martial nephew? Absolutely not. Therefore, this name is well-deserved. Hearing the praise, Xiaobao still puffed up his cheeks and looked at Mayan with grievance. Chapter 1986. Who exactly was the one who triggered the inheritance? Asking for votes? Cough cough. No, mother likes it very much. The more Mu Yin looked at her son, the more adorable he was. She couldn't help but kiss him again. In mother's heart, Xiaobao is a cute Shota. This name is rather good. Xiaobao still felt that something was wrong. But after being kissed by his beloved mother, he blushed and snuggled into Mu Yan's embrace. A cute Shota is a cute Shota as long as mother likes it. As the Xiao Yao sect members were joking around, there were more and more people at the plaza. The surrounding discussions had also entered their ears. Did you guys hear? It is all thanks to God Fuchin that the Herb King's inheritance can be activated. Is that true? I heard that the people of the cultivation continent have been searching for the Herb King's inheritance for hundreds of years. Right now, it is actually found by a young golden core realm cultivator like Fuchin. It is absolutely true. This rumor was spread by the supervisor of the appraisal hall. He personally saw that the Herb King's inheritance was activated because of God Fuchin's elixir. Yes. I remember that the initial tremor of the Heaven Light ruins and the soaring radiance came from the appraisal hall. God Fuchin is truly a god. The Herb King's inheritance that no one has found for 800 years was actually triggered by him. If I remember correctly, God Fuchin is also an incredible concoction master, right? Perhaps he might be the one to become the Herb King's inheritor. Mu Yin listened to the discussions and frowned. She didn't expect Fuchin to trigger the Herb King's inheritance. Who knew that Xiao Bao's angry voice could be heard? It isn't triggered by that scoundrel. It is mother's elixir. Mu Yin looked over with doubt. Lung Yuma then recounted what had just happened in the appraiser hall. She then sneered and said, "That Fuchin is truly shameless." The appraisal hall supervisor praised him for triggering the Herb King's inheritance, and he actually admitted it. He then turned around and tried to forcefully buy Xiao Bao's elixir. The remaining members of the Xiao Yao sect turned to look at Mu Yin in unison. Yun Ruhan let out a long sigh. I knew it was related to little junior sister, right? It seems like my intuition was right. It's not the first time Six Senior Sister has done this. We're used to it. Little junior sister, I won't believe a single word you say next time. Mu Yin, what did I do? Wasn't it just appraising a pill? Who did I offend? Ahem, that's right. What was the composition of the pill? Did you find out? This? Junior sister, you should see for yourself. Lung Yuma said with a strange expression. Xiao Bao immediately hands the medicine box to Mu Yin. Mu Yin opened it and was a little dumbfounded. This was because the originally black pill inside had now turned into a pearl. It was only the size of a child's fingernail, sparkling and translucent like a colored glass or a gemstone. This didn't look like a medicinal pill no matter how one looked at it. Well, what's going on? Lung Yuma said. When the Medicine King's inheritance space was triggered and everyone's attention was attracted, this pill changed. With my sharp eyes and quick hands, I covered the medicine box before Fuchin noticed. This is also the reason why I'm certain that the inheritance space was triggered by your pill, junior sister. Fuchin's pill didn't have any changes. Right now, all the cultivators in the Heaven Light Ruins are thanking Fuchin, saying that it was fortunate that he triggered the Medicine King's inheritance, allowing everyone to have the opportunity to become the Medicine King's disciple. If it is up to me, I should expose him in public. Slap him until his face is swollen. 6 chapters, I've added more chapters. Is there a monthly ticket reward? Monthly tickets, monthly tickets, monthly tickets, Lord Medicine King. Student Little Gio's wish is beautiful, but I'm afraid that the reality is too cruel. His lips trembled for a long time, but he couldn't say anything. If you can't even do one. Chu Xinyan grabbed his chin and revealed a sinister smile. Then you can go and accompany those useless brothers and sisters of yours. Chu Tenyu knelt on the ground, clenching his teeth. Don't worry, father. Your child will definitely obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. Good, this is my good son. A satisfied smile appeared on Chu Xinyan's face. Royal father will be waiting for your good news. As the saying goes, there is strength in numbers. In the entire Xiuzhen continent, at least half of the cultivators entered the Tian Guang ruins to search for the Medicine King's inheritance. In less than a day, the entrance to the first stage of the Medicine King's inheritance space was found. The Medicine King's inheritance test has a total of 3 stages. Pull up load next chapters. Chapter 1988. Only after passing the first round, the entrance to the second round would open. And the entrance to the first round was coincidentally the stone lion in front of the appraiser hall. As long as one touched the stone lion, they would enter the first round inheritance space. Mine was originally interested in refining elixirs, so she immediately entered the inheritance space. Mine was already interested in refining elixirs, so she immediately entered the inheritance space. Almost at the same time Mayan appeared in the inheritance space. Many people's eyes were focused on her. Oh, look, it's Gaji. In fact, ever since Mayan became famous, she learned from the young martial uncle and hid her name and appearance. But now, in the inheritance space, the name above her head was forced to appear. Isn't Gaji proficient in talismans? Why is she also participating in the Medicine King's inheritance test? Who doesn't want to be Medicine King's disciple? Furthermore, didn't Gaji refine the water element elixir? Please, how can that be the same? Gaji isn't refining elixirs. He is directly drawing a talisman that can refine elixirs. I admit that God Ye's talisman drawing ability is indeed heaven-defying, but I'm afraid she doesn't know how to refine elixirs. As everyone was discussing, someone suddenly shouted, "It's God Fuchin. God Fuchin is here." If I may say, God Fuchin is the most likely to become Medicine King's personal disciple. After all, he is the only one to trigger the Medicine King's inheritance in the past 800 years. The surrounding people were discussing, but mine was already used to such discussions. Yi Lianshan. Suddenly, Fuchin's voice echoed in her ears. To easily destroy a sect in the purple cloud world, you are truly ruthless. Mine replied calmly, "Thank you for the compliment." Chu Tianyo's face sank. Then he said coldly, "The Medicine King's inheritance is mine. You aren't proficient in refining elixirs. If you still have some self-awareness, you should withdraw as soon as possible." Mayan sneered. "Who do you think you are? You want me to withdraw? The Medicine King's inheritance depends on one's ability. Whoever obtains it gets it. To be called God Fuchin, Don't you even have this bit of self-confidence? Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "Oh, I was wrong. God Fuchin is very confident and his skin is thicker than the city wall. Otherwise, why would he say that he triggered the Medicine King's inheritance and publicize it?" What? What do you mean? Chu Tianyo's expression changed, and he looked to the side. Seeing that no one dared to eavesdrop on their conversation, he heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Liangchen, what do you know? The smile on Mu Yan's face becomes more and more mocking. However, before she could say anything, Lil Tian's voice rang out. You have reached the limit of 100 people. You will now be transported to the venue of the first stage of the exam. The first stage is called Myriad Things. The condition to clear the Myriad Things is very simple. As long as you can survive for 24 hours and walk out of the Myriad Things space alive, you will pass. Mu Yan is a little confused. The requirement of the All Things stage was to survive for 24 hours? Logically speaking, shouldn't this be the easiest? Just as he was thinking, the scene in front of him changed. The originally chaotic space gradually turned into mountains and rivers, with hundreds of flowers blooming and birds chirping. The tip of his nose was filled with a strong fragrance. Taking a deep breath, Zhang Xian felt refreshed and refreshed. What a beautiful place. Is this the everything level? Pull up load next chapters. Chapter 1989. Is this the all things test? But there are no vicious beasts or demons here. Isn't it easy to survive for 24 hours? Mu Yan also finds it a little strange. This is a valley. For 100 people, the area is large, but they can see the end at a glance. No matter how you look at it, there is no danger here. However, will they really pass the Medicine King's inheritance test so easily? Devour Mu Yan is puzzled, but she is not in a hurry. She finds a rock in the corner of the valley and sits down. Time goes by. After discovering that there is really no danger in this valley, the originally tense cultivators begin to play in 2s and 3s. Among them, several people from Liang Chen's army secretly look at Mu Yan. Their eyes are full of worship, but they dare not approach. The unforeseen event happened 2 hours later. A group of cultivators catches a few fish from the stream and roasts them to eat. These fish are snowy silverfish, which are quite common in the cultivation world. They don't contain much spiritual power, but their meat is delicious, and many spiritual chefs like to cook them. After these people eat a few snowy silverfish, one of them suddenly screams, clutches his stomach, and falls down. Then the second one, the third one. Poison. This snowy silverfish is poisonous. There are a total of 7 people poisoned. 5 of them quickly take out antidote pills and survive. But there are also 2 people who are too deeply poisoned to take medicine, and their figures slowly disappear. This change makes the cultivators inside panic for a while, but they soon calm down. After all, it's just the snowy silverfish that is poisonous. They just don't eat it. Mu Yan looks at them, comforting themselves, but slightly narrows her eyes. Is it really that simple? Of course not. An hour after the snowy silverfish poisoning incident, another group of people falls down. It's a group of young girls. They don't eat anything in the valley, but they pick beautiful flowers. Some make garlands and wear them on their heads, some put them on their temples, and some twist them in their hands. At the beginning, nothing happens, but suddenly, the girl holding the flowers screams, "My hand, it hurts!" She stretches out her hand, and it turns out to be badly mutilated. Almost at the same time as she screams, the girls wearing garlands, the flowers on their temples, their whole faces, and even their whole heads begin to rot. These people don't even have time to take an elixir. They scream and fall down, and their figures slowly dissipate. The flower is poisonous. The elimination of these flower-picking girls was like the prelude to the massacre of everything. Ah! Something bit me. Quick, give me an antidote pill. God, this water is also poisonous. Don't touch anything in the valley. Crap! Antidote pill. My antidote pill is gone. In the valley, it was a mess. Every blade of grass, every tree, Every drop of water, every stone, everything was poisonous. Everything was fatal. This was the first stage of the Herb King's inheritance. Mayan has already stood up from the rock she was sitting on, holding a poison-repelling pill in her hand. He looked at the scene in front of him. The cultivators fled in panic, screamed, and took the poison avoidance pill. However, as time passed, there were more and more poisonous things in the valley, and the toxicity was getting stronger and stronger. The poison prevention pill was indeed useful, but sometimes people didn't even have time to take the pill before they were poisoned to death. Moreover, Mu Yin looks on coldly and finds that the consumption of the poison prevention pill is really too great. Only 8 hours had passed. Pull up load next chapters. Chapter 1990. Even if the Jade Key space is huge and filled with poison avoidance pills, it can't sustain such consumption. Eventually, the poison avoidance pills will be stolen. Sure enough, after some of the cultivators ran out of poison avoidance pills, they decided to take advantage of the poison avoidance pills that others had in order to persevere. Mu Yin watched from the side. She had no intention of interfering. After all, this was just a test. There was no real danger to their lives. They were driven mad by the poison and wanted to steal her poison avoidance pills. When they reached her, they saw the words Yap Liangchun above her head. They were so scared that they fell to their knees. What a joke! She was the Lord of 6 stars, the one and only Dragon Ascension's 6 leaderboards. It was not an exaggeration to say that Yap Liangchun was the best among the young cultivators. He must be crazy to dare to steal God Yap's poison avoidance pills. As a result, when he knelt down, the grass on the ground was poisonous. The wound on his hand was stained with the grass juice. He died instantly. For hours later, there were still more than 80 people in the valley. 10 hours later, there were only Mu Yin and Chu Tianyu left in the valley. Unfortunately, the two of them didn't last long. 10 hours later, Chu Tianyu ran out of poison avoidance pills and was eliminated. 12 hours later, Mu Yin frowned as she looked at the remaining 3 poison avoidance pills in the Jade Key. At this moment, there was nothing in the valley that wasn't poisonous. Rocks, plants, insects, fishes, birds, and beasts. Even the soil under her feet began to turn into a poisonous swamp inch by inch, swallowing up the place where she lived. In the end, Mu Yin didn't take the 3 poison avoidance pills. Instead, she left the everything space. After leaving the everything space, Mu Yin didn't appear in front of the appraiser hall. Instead, she went to the reincarnation square. At this time, the reincarnation square was in an uproar. Everyone was talking about the everything test. How long did you stay in the everything space? I only stayed for 4 hours before I was poisoned to death by a pile of bird poop. I didn't fare much better than you. I was eliminated in less than 5 hours. I heard that less than half of the people could last more than 6 hours. 8 hours later, the entire valley was covered in poison. Heavens, how can a place like this last 24 hours? Do you know who stayed there the longest? While everyone was discussing, Little Tion's voice rang out in the reincarnation square. On the first day of the Sage Ancestor Medicine King's inheritance space, no one passed. I hope everyone will continue to work hard. The following are the top 100 practitioners who lasted the longest in all things. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge light screen appeared in front of everyone. It was densely packed with everyone's names. Number 1, Yap Liangchun. Second place, Fuchen. The reincarnation square instantly exploded. Yi Liangchun. It is Yi Liangchun again. My God, he slaughtered 3 of the Azure Cloud rankings in the Azure Blue domain and 6 of the Soaring Dragon rankings in the Purple Cloud domain. Is it not enough for him to come to the Tianguang ruins to slaughter the rankings? Cough, cough. It's useless even if you're first. You still didn't pass the test. In my opinion, Great God Fuchen, who triggered the Medicine King's inheritance, is still the best. Bah! First place is useless. If you are capable, why don't you take first place? If you are capable, let Fuchen take first place too. Our great God Yi is a specialist in slaughtering the rankings. He is the world's number 1. If you are not convinced, then come and fight. Chapter 1991. Yes, if you don't accept it, we, Lianshan's army, have never been afraid of anyone. God Yi is invincible. Long live God Yi. Listening to the noise of the crowd, Mu Yin shook her head with a smile and directly left Tianguang ruins. These people were right about one thing. The first place was meaningless. She wanted to be the first person to pass the test. Was there poison in the King of Medicine's inheritance space? Interesting, she didn't believe that she couldn't live for more than 24 hours. In the space, Mu Yin wrote the word all things on the paper. Then he frowned slightly and wrote the word poison. During the 12 hours of the assessment, she had encountered at least 40 kinds of poisons. The first 30 kinds could be eliminated by ordinary antidote pills. However, the poison that began to appear after 10 hours was not something that could be easily cured by using an antidote pill. Even if antidote pills could solve it, she would need to take at least 3 to 5 pills. And with such a consumption rate, it definitely wouldn't last for more than 24 hours. Moreover, who could guarantee that the poisons that appeared in the next 12 hours would not be more powerful? What if there was no antidote at all? So it seemed that the test of all things was simply a dead end. On the third day, Mu Yin entered the space of all things again. This time, her survival time was increased to 14 hours. But in the end, she used up all the pills and was eliminated. On the test list of all things, Lianshan's name had always been at the top. But no one could finally pass the test. After 14 hours, the poisons that appeared in the space of all things could no longer be resisted by the antidote pill. Mu Yin even had a guess that in the end, even the air in the whole valley might be poisonous. Who could survive for 24 hours in such a perverted and desperate situation? It was obviously an impossible task. It was not that Mu Yin didn't think of refining pills on the spot. But first, no matter how fast the refining speed was, it would take at least half an hour. Second, although there were elixirs in the valley, they were basically poisonous. Even if they were refined into pills, they could only be poisonous pills, which had no effect on detoxification. Mu Yin threw away the pen in her hand and was a little discouraged. Since her rebirth, she had encountered many difficulties, but most of them were settled by her strength and willpower. This was the first time she had encountered such a situation where she was at her wit's end. "Mother!" Xiao Bao's crisp and tender voice suddenly rang in his ears. "It's written in the book that the juice of this vine can cure the poison of this grass." Mayan stares blankly and turns to look at her son. She sees Xiao Bao's fair and tender little hand pointing at the names of the 2 poisonous creatures that Mayan had listed on the paper. The first was the blue heart vine. The second was the bone-penetrating grass. The blue heart vine was a poison that appeared not long after the snow silverfish. It was originally an ordinary vine, but after 2 hours, it had turned into a poisonous blue heart vine. As for the bone-penetrating grass, it was a poison that appeared at the 12th hour. The juice of the blue heart vine could cure the poison of the bone-piercing grass. Mu Yin stands up abruptly. "Xiao Bao, how did you know?" "It's written in the book." Xiao Bao holds a somewhat shabby ancient book and brings it to Mu Yin. Mu Yin takes it and has a look. On the cover of the ancient book was written, "Records of mutual restriction of poisonous substances." Opening the ancient book, Mu Yin discovered that more than half of the pages were missing. There were also a few that had long been broken, without much information left behind. Chapter 1992. But the small half of the book left behind has already made Mu Yin overjoyed. Because the poisonous herbs and poisons mentioned in this mutual restraint of poisons are what she had seen in the King of Medicine's first test. All things in the world reinforce and restrain each other, complementing each other. This is a truth that many people know. But what about between poisons and poisons? No one knows, and no one dares to try. Fighting poison with poison, it sounds simple, but how many people would really dare to take poison to cure another kind of poison? But as it happens, the King of Medicine has grasped the heart of a cultivator that seeks benefits and avoids harm, and set up this everything checkpoint. All things reinforce and restrain each other. Without top, there is no bottom. Without low, there is no high. Without bitterness, there is no sweetness. It's not only elixirs that can restrain poison, but also poisons that also contain highly toxic substances. The only way to survive in the everything checkpoint is to push oneself to the edge of death. Xiao Bao, you really are Nyangqin's god of luck. Mu Yin picks up Xiao Bao and kisses him hard. Nyangqin finally knows the way to pass the checkpoint. Xiao Bao's long eyelashes hang down, a little shy, but also a little happy. Nyangqin finally doesn't have to worry anymore. Mu Yin, that's right, Xiao Bao. Where did you find this? Mutual restraint of poisons. Xiao Bao blinks. Brother Qi Huang gave it to me. Despite Qi Huang's strong protests, Xiao Bao still obeys Mu Yan's wishes and calls Qi Huang brother. Mu Yan, hee, a brat that's more naughty than Xiao Bao and still wants to be a generation higher than Xiao Bao. Dream on. Brother Qi Huang said. That woman Mu Yin is so stupid, she can't even pass this small checkpoint. Wouldn't that be throwing the face of the Tian Mo Qin, throwing the face of this great tool spirit? Boy, you wait here. In a moment, when I throw the book down, you take it to her. If she can't pass it, humph, this sage will despise her for a lifetime. Xiao Bao's words are said with a straight face, and it also contains the unhappiness of Qi Huang scolding his mother for being stupid. However, he repeated Qi Huang's words without missing a single word. Mu Yan's mouth twitches. Is Qi Huang's skin itching again? Where is he? Xiao Bao shook his head blankly. I don't know either. Big brother Qi Huang disappeared after leaving the book. Mu Yan's heart stirred, suddenly remembering something. Did Qi Huang help her find the book in the book pagoda? However, it was clear that Qi Huang could only help her find the book in this state. Thinking of this, Mu Yan felt both amused and moved. She gestured to Xiao Bao, the fat rabbit, and little Phoenix not to come in, and walked into the book pagoda. The structure of the book tower was completely suspended in the air, and the structure of the bottom could be seen at a glance. Mu Yan looks around and quickly sees a small bulging bag in the northern corner of the tower. The small bag was covered with a gray cloth and was hidden in the shadow of the bookshelf. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't have noticed it. Mu Yan walked to the small bag in 2 or 3 steps and reached out to pull it. However, the cloth covering the bag was tightly sealed, and she couldn't open it no matter how hard she tried. Mu Yan said softly, cough cough, Qi Xiao Huang, are you going to stay like this for 6 hours? A crisp but exasperated voice came from under the gray cloth. Get lost. Within 6 hours, no one is allowed to enter the book pagoda. Otherwise, this sovereign will kill all of you. Mu Yan listened to this childish voice and almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. But thinking that Qi Huang had turned into the form that he most didn't want to in order to help her, Mu Yan's heart becomes extremely soft. Chapter 1993. Although Qi Xiao Huang was stubborn and merciless with his words, the truth was that he was just a tsundere. Mu Yan suddenly reaches out, and together with the gray cloth, she picks up the person. Qi Huang's whole body stiffened. Then he shouted, Jun Mai and Yu, what are you doing? Don't you know that men and women should not touch each other? You, put me down. Mayan sneers and conveniently slaps her fair and tender little, but you're just an artifact spirit. Why are you talking to me about how men and women shouldn't touch? Qi Huang tore off the gray cloth, shouting in a flustered and exasperated manner, Jun Mayan, you still know that this Zun is a noble ancient artifact spirit. You're simply audacious. You actually dare to hit this Zun's his little fart. Mu Yan kindly added for him. 7 Brilliance was so angry that he almost fainted. Bastard. Wait for this sovereign to recover. I definitely won't let you off. His brows are cold and his eyes are fierce. His killing intent is soaring, and he's overbearing towards Mayan. Unfortunately, these expressions and auras were terrifying when placed on the young Qi Huang's face. But on this fair and tender little baby in front of him, there was only an enchanting cuteness. Mayan finally can't control her devil's claws. She grabs her soft little face and pulls. Aya, it's really nice to pinch. It was softer than Little Treasure's face. Chi Huang was completely driven mad, his lotus-like limbs flailing about. Bastard, bastard, bastard. Jun Mayan, Ben Zun wants to kill. Before he could finish howling, Mayan's hand that was pinching his little face has already changed to caress the back of his head. His peach blossom eyes, which had always been lazy and evil, contained a bit of gentleness and gratitude. Chi Huang, thank you. All of Chi Huang's rage was instantly, like a punctured ball, completely leaking out. He snorted. You don't think that I will let you off just because you said that? Mu Yin continued. Moreover, I think this Chi Huang is really cute. I like it very much. Her fair and tender cheeks turned crimson, almost visible to the naked eye. Seven Brilliance opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he was tongue-tied and could not say a single word. He felt that his heart was beating so fast in his chest that it almost jumped out. If an artifact spirit had the heart, you like it? Chi Huang's voice was strained and nervous. But before he could say anything, Little Treasure rushed in from outside. As soon as he sees Mayan holding a little baby carved from jade, the Polar Domain's future young master, who had always been calm and mature, who wouldn't change his expression even if MT Tai collapsed in front of him, suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis surge in his heart. Who was this kid? Why was his mother hugging him so intimately? Could it be that his position as the most precious treasure in his mother's heart was about to be snatched away? Thinking of this, Xiaobao doesn't even think about it. He rushes over and hugs Mu Yan's thigh. Niangqin, raising his delicate little face, a pair of watery blue eyes are filled with childish admiration and longing. Mommy hug. Mu Yan is stunned. Was Xiaobao acting coquettishly with her? Her baby had always been calm and rational. He didn't have the naivety and willfulness of his peers. This was the first time Little Treasure had acted like a 5 or 6-year-old child. Mu Yin promptly puts down Chi Huang, hugs Xiaobao in her arms, and kisses his face. What's wrong, baby? Xiaobao doesn't say anything, but he rubs against her neck, then coldly looks at Chi Huang. I don't care who you are, right? But Niangqin is mine. Niangqin can only hug me, can only kiss me, can only treat Xiaobao as the most important treasure. Chapter 1994. The corners of Chi Huang's mouth twitches. He, a dignified tool spirit, has actually been reduced to fighting for favor with a child? Fight your sister. Who said that he wanted Mayan to hug him? Kiss him. He doesn't care about it. Although he thinks so, Chi Huang still wraps himself in the gray blanket and turns around. His little face is still boiling hot at this moment, as if it's about to burn. The moment he turns around, Chi Huang suddenly feels that his thoughts are blurred for a moment. The next moment, his arrogant and stubborn expression turns into a deep and unfathomable sneer. His gaze unobtrusively schemes over Mayan and Xiaobao behind him, then slowly converges. The curve of his mouth is cold and meaningful. However, in the blink of an eye, this strange expression disappears without a trace. What's left is a bewildered and frightened Qi Xiaowang. He also glances at Mayan, but his eyes are worried and concerned, nervous and determined. His small hands are tightly clenched into fists. In some remote ruins deep in the mountains, Luo Yunxiao and Qi Wen are walking through the ruins, followed by a woman in a purple dress. This woman is fairy-like and has a picturesque appearance. She's a great beauty that can topple the nation. Looking at her bearing and posture, graceful and luxurious, there's an unconcealable icy arrogance between her brows. It's very obvious that she's a very proud and noble person. But facing Luo Yunxiao at this time, she's gentle like water blown by the spring breeze. The adoration and infatuation between her brows are almost overflowing. The man in front of her is like a piece of cutting and learning from each other, like a chisel and polished. His beauty is unique and unparalleled in this world. Even if it's just a glance from him, she would feel that she has no regrets in this life. It's just that this person looks as gentle as jade, without any edges or corners. In fact, he always keeps a distance that's neither too far nor too close. He can't advance an inch, but he's also reluctant to take a step back. There's silence in the ruins. Only Qi Wen's incessant chatter can be heard. Oh, it seems that it's not here. Master, we have to look for another place. Wandering around in the mountains every day is so boring. Let's go back and find Mei Yin Yin, okay? I haven't seen Mei Yin Yin for a long time. I want to sleep and wake up in Mei Yin Yin's warm embrace every day. Luo Yunxiao coldly looked at Qi Wen laughed dryly. I'm just joking. Master, you can't even sleep with him. How could I get a chance? Splat. The kiss fell to the ground and turned into a lump of meat pie. It struggled to get up and wanted to protest like its master. However, Luo Yunxiao suddenly clutched her heart, and her originally fair cheeks flushed. Even his originally pale thin lips had turned bright red. Master, what's wrong? Young Master Yunxiao, are you all right? Luo Yunxiao dodged the purple-clothed woman's outstretched hand and used one hand to support herself against the stone wall to steady herself. Master, what's wrong? Is it acting up? Luo Yunxiao shook her head and stared blankly in a certain direction. Clearly, there was nothing but a pitch-black stone wall, and yet it was as if he could see through it into the distance, a figure that filled him with dread, desire, and longing. What was going on? Just now, he felt as if he was very, very close to Mu Yin, so close that he could hear her voice and smell her breath. And that faintly discernible, I like it very much. Right now, Mu Yin was clearly far away at Long Tongue Academy, so why would he have such an illusion? Moreover, this wasn't the first time. Chapter 1995. In the River of Forgetfulness, when he was in the most pain and despair, almost falling into the endless abyss of darkness. It was also in a trance that he heard Mayan's zither and endured it. Master, are you okay? Don't scare Qi Wen. Yunxiao Gongzi, did you get hurt while saving me? The purple-clothed woman and Qi Wen are about to cry. Luo Yunxiao's complexion slowly returns to normal. He says in a low voice, I'm fine. Seeing that his expression is as usual, Qi Wen is relieved, but she can't help but start to talk. Master, you don't know, you looked like you were suddenly in love. Hehehe, did you suddenly think of beauty? Luo Yunxiao doesn't wait for it to finish, waving his hand and activating the array plate. Soon, the transmission array is activated, and 2 people and 1 beast arrive at the edge of the jungle. Luo Yunxiao looks at the woman. It's safe here. We'll go north to the nearest town. We'll say goodbye here. Wait a minute. Seeing that Luo Yunxiao is about to leave, the woman says anxiously, Yunxiao Gongzi, don't you even want to know who I am? Before Luo Yunxiao can speak, Qi Wen is already shouting, do you think you're Mei Yin Yin? Why should my master know who you are? Oh, another one who wants to devote herself to him? TSK. Forget it, the number of people who want to devote themselves to my master can line up from Tianan to Haibei. If you want to devote yourself to him, go to the back and line up. The purple-clothed woman's face stiffens, her face showing humiliation and unwillingness. She looks at Luo Yunxiao with watery eyes, wanting to see a trace of amazement and emotion in his eyes. Unfortunately, Luo Yunxiao did not even look at him. She directly grabbed Qi Wen's neck, who was about to continue her nonsense, and left. His pace looks calm and unhurried, but in the blink of an eye, he's already a kilometer away. The purple-clothed woman doesn't even have time to say her identity. She lowers her head slightly, her hands clenching the hem of her clothes. At this moment, several figures appear in front of her like lightning, kneeling on the ground. Greetings, Saintess. Saintess, it's great that you're okay. We've been looking for you for a long time. The purple-clothed woman grits her teeth, finally suppressing the surging emotions in her heart. She turns around and says, let's go. Mu Yin tells Xiaobao that the little doll carved from jade is Big Brother Qi Huang. Xiaobao's cold little face was about to shatter. Then her big eyes sparkled, and she couldn't hide her curiosity and happiness. However, Xiaobao has always restrained his emotions since he was a child, so he didn't laugh out loud like Mu Yin. Instead, she held Qi Huang's hand and read with him in the book pagoda. Xiao Bao knew that big brother Qi Huang didn't want others to see him like this, so he would accompany him in the book pagoda for 6 hours. Mu Yin looked at the two little guys getting along harmoniously and couldn't help but smile. Xiao Bao might look cold, but he was actually very nice to the fat rabbit, little phoenix by Xie, and Qi Huang who accompanied him all the way. He treated them as a family from the bottom of his heart. Otherwise, with Qi Huang's bad temper, how could he tolerate little Bao seeing him like this? Mu Yin left the book tower and once again entered the Tianguang ruins. As soon as he arrived at the reincarnation square, he heard the excited chatter of the crowd. It's been 14 hours, 14 hours. Great God Fuchen has yet to come out. Chapter 1996. Haha. I already said that God Fuchen is going to break Yi Liangqin's record this time. He will be the one to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. Bah, it's only 14 hours. Didn't he still break God Ye's 14 hours record? What arrogance. Listening to everyone's discussion, Mayan raises her brows. This time, Fuchen was still alive after staying inside for 14 hours. It seemed like he had made ample preparations before entering. However, other people's results have nothing to do with her. She can't wait to try and see if the theory of everything reinforcing and restraining each other is true or not. Soon, she arrives at the Medicine King's inheritance space through the teleportation array in front of the appraiser hall. But it is different from the first time when hundreds of people gathered. This time, there were only a dozen or so people in the space, and everyone is meditating with their eyes closed. They don't even look at her. Not to mention, they are shouting God Yi better like the first time. However, this phenomenon is also very understandable. After all, during the first time, many people still have the mentality of a fluke. They think that if they are lucky enough to survive for 24 hours, what if they pick up a bargain? However, after a few attempts, everyone knew that luck was useless. In the valley where everything is poisonous, without strength and full preparation, they can't survive for more than 12 hours. Moreover, they have to endure all kinds of pain before they die. Therefore, most of them retreated. Those who stay are those who are truly confident in their own strength. And mine guesses that most of them are pill masters. Soon, the waiting time is up. Even if there are not 100 people gathered, Mayan and the others are also sent into the myriad things space. It is still the same valley, beautiful and calm. But the hidden turbulence and murderous intent is like a stormy sea, sweeping over at any time. Mayan jumps to the top of the mountain. Looking at the green and colorful scene, the corner of her mouth raises into an unruly smile. The world of poison left by the only sacred ancestor Medicine King? Then let's see if she can walk out of this world of poison alive. On the Reincarnation Plaza, there are more and more people gathering. The bustling noise rose and fell one after another. 16 hours. It has been 16 hours, and God Fuchen still hasn't come out. This time, Yi Liangqin will definitely lose his first place. I've been unhappy with that Yi Liangqin for a long time. He's from the Azure Blue world, but he came to our Purple Cloud world to show off. There's actually no one in the entire Purple Cloud world who can punish him. It is fortunate that she overestimated herself and came to participate in the Medicine King's inheritance trial. Now that she has been slapped in the face by God Fuchen, she must be teaching herself a lesson, right? Chapter 1997. Liangqin Dajuan, why don't you continue to be stubborn? Continue to be arrogant? You've been slapped in the face this time, right? Who does Yi Liangqin think he is? He's just from the Azure Blue realm. Does he really think that no one in the Purple Cloud realm can deal with him? Shut up. Who do you think you are to dare slander God Yi? He's the master of the Azure Sky sect, aren't you? He's the Lord of 6 stars. Can you do that? Wasn't it just the Medicine King's inheritance? Our God Yi doesn't care at all. If you can't do it, just say that you don't care. I can see that the faces of your Liangchen army are almost swollen. Liangchen's army wanted to retort, but the facts spoke louder than words. On the projection screen in the Reincarnation Square, the bright ranking made them speechless. Ever since Yi Liangchen's name appeared in the world, no one had been able to shake his name. As long as it was a list with her participation, no matter what type, be it the Azure Cloud Realm, Azure Blue Realm, or the Purple Cloud Realm, she was unquestionably number one. But today, her number one position had been snatched away by someone else. Fuchin's supporters and Yi Liangchen's haters were welcoming a carnival, especially those from the Purple Cloud Realm who thought highly of themselves and looked down on the cultivators from the Azure Blue Realm. Ever since Yap Liangchen appeared, they couldn't even raise their heads in front of the trash from the Azure Blue Realm. His heart was filled with resentment. At this moment, they could finally hold their heads up high. They could finally scold the entire Azure Blue Realm for being trash and Yi Liangchen for being trash. Liangchen's army, on the other hand, felt an indescribable sense of loss, as well as a sense of grievance that could not be vented. Yap Liangchen's results were already heaven-defying. Even if he wasn't good at alchemy, wasn't that normal? However, those who wanted to discredit God Yi wouldn't listen to this at all. They seized on great God Yi's little flaw and expanded it infinitely, almost slandering him. The Reincarnation Plaza was filled with praises for Fuchin and ridicule for Yi Liangchen. However, these people didn't know that the great god Fuchin that they were praising was currently hiding his appearance and name. He was standing in the middle of them and was frowning while looking at the list of myriad things. Nearly 18 hours. He had survived in the valley filled with poisonous creatures for 18 hours. It was indeed a long time, and it broke Yap Liangchen's record. But all of this was meaningless. This was because Chu Tianyu himself knew that he had made ample preparations before entering the space of all creation. He even obtained a grade 9 poison avoidance pill from Chu Xinyan. As long as he took the grade 9 poison avoidance pill, he would be immune to all poisons for 6 hours. But even such a pill didn't allow him to last more than 18 hours. This was because after 16 hours, even the grade 9 poison avoidance pill could not resist the poisonous creatures in the valley. It was only 18 hours, and he was already at his wit's end. How could he hold on for 24 hours? If he couldn't hold on for 24 hours and didn't obtain the Medicine King's inheritance, his father wouldn't let him off. Chu Tianyu clenched his fists and lowered his head to hide the fear and despair on his face. Now, the only thing worth rejoicing about was that even if he couldn't pass the trial of all creation, no one else could either. If he couldn't obtain the Pill King's inheritance, no one else could either. He still had a chance. Inside Laozi's #1 shop, Easy Bro, North Sunflower, Xiang Nuan, Sister Hua, and Old Ma, who were the backbone of Liangchen's army, were gathered together. All of them had ugly expressions on their faces as they gritted their teeth. Chapter 1998. Do we need to publicize Great God Ye's identity as the Lord of 6 Stars, and how impossible it is to accomplish? Are we just going to let them belittle Great God Ye like this? Yes, I'm going to organize the Liangchen army. They can go around discrediting Great God Ye, and we can also publicize Great God Ye's achievements. I'm even going to publicize it in reality. A few people were ready to make a move, but only Bei Kue Xiang Nuan was thinking about something, and suddenly said in a low voice, "You don't believe in Great God Yi?" Everyone's gazes were on this delicate and pretty girl who looked unremarkable. She rarely spoke and only quietly managed the affairs of her father's #1 shop in the world in an orderly manner. She never fought for credit, never showed off, and never showed off when leading the Liangchen army. But when they saw the girl's persistent and determined eyes, they suddenly remembered. This girl was the first person to stand by Great God Ye's side in the entire Tingguang ruins and never left him. No matter how unimaginable the things mispromised, which one of them hasn't been done? Sister Hua, Old Ma, and the others swallowed their saliva, thinking of the water element pill refining talisman in their arms. No matter how wishful thinking Miss wants to compete for the rankings, which one of them hasn't won first place? Easy Bro and the others thought of Golden Tingguang, and swallowed their saliva with difficulty. Beikue Xiang Nuan's little face showed a shy smile. I once told myself, from now on, I will trust Miss unconditionally. So, I also believe that as long as Miss wants to compete for the Medicine King's inheritance, she will not fail. Moreover, do you think that great God Yi will disappoint the Liangshan army? Easy bro, Sister Hua, and old Ma's breathing quickened. The original anxiety and worry in their eyes turned into certainty and determination in an instant. Yes, great God, you will never disappoint the Liangshan army. And they only need to believe and wait patiently. In the space of all things, Mayan's face was flushed, and large beads of sweat kept falling from her forehead. Her clothes had long been soaked in sweat. She took out an hourglass from the jade key and glanced at it. There was still a quarter of an hour until the 24th hour. But there was almost no place to stand in the entire valley, and the poison in the air was still getting stronger. In the beginning, she only needed to consume stream water. Later on, stream water, fruits, insects, fishes, birds, and beasts, as long as it was something she collected in the first 12 hours, she would consume it all. However, his body felt that it was getting harder and harder to resist the poison in the air. Yes, it was just as she had guessed. In this myriad creation space, it was impossible to survive just by relying on antidote pills and poison avoidance pills. This was because the poison that appeared after 12 hours was not something that could be detoxified by the current antidote pills in the cultivation continent. The only things that could resist the poison after 12 hours were the various poisons that appeared in the first 12 hours. The toxicity of these poisons was light and could be removed by detoxification pills, but it could perfectly restrain the poison that would appear after 12 hours. One by one, they countered each other. Even if it was consumed incorrectly, it could be resolved with antidote pills. This was the only way to pass the trial of all things. Sure enough, Mu Yin used this move to last for 11 hours. However, at the 11th hour, just as Mu Yin had expected, even the air had become highly toxic. After all, alchemy isn't his forte. That's right. If I had to say, Great God Yi is already versatile enough. If he even knows about pharmacology, that would be incredible. I think our Liangshan army should keep a low profile during this period of time and leave the Tianguang ruins first. Easy Bro also placed his hand on Xiang Nuan's shoulder. He looked at her with concern in his eyes. Xiao Kuei, why don't we go back first? Before he could finish his words, a woman's voice suddenly came from the side. Are you the two people in charge of Yi Liangchen's shop? Bei Kuei, Xiang Nuan, and Easy Guy all turned to look at the source of the voice and saw that it was a middle-aged woman who had spoken. The woman was about 40 years old, and the wrinkles on her face were very deep, making her look mean and sinister. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.